Hey everyone, what's up? It's about 10:47 in the morning on this Thursday. I'm going to be heading off to work in the next 4 hours, or at least less than that. Yeah, about 4 hours. 4 hours and 2 minutes. But I want to talk about something here. Now, I've talked about this show a variety of times in different videos. Here on my channel, and quite honestly, I'll be honest with you. And I've said it again, I've said it before in these videos. I'll say it again here. I don't really watch My Little Pony Friendship and Magic, or MLPFIM for short. I don't really watch it, but I do pay attention to it sometimes, especially when you have fans talking about it in places like DeviantArt, Facebook, YouTube, wherever. It's like constantly people keep talking about it, to where you can only be intrigued as to what has got these fans excited, what's got all these fans excited about the show. And it always has to do with an episode or two-part episode that's going to be coming or is aired, and they're talking about how good. I mean, it's just amazing to see the momentum, the popularity that this show has gained in 4 seasons and now going into its 5th. And like I said, I have to, nod my head in respect. I have to give my respect for the fact that this show has got a 5th season, because animated shows based on toy lines and stuff don't really get that many seasons. They really don't. But it seems that Hasbro wants to milk MLPFIM for everything it's got, and probably continue on with more seasons after the 5th season. But when I look at the fact that it's getting a 5th season, and the possibility of more seasons, and the fact that it's got a huge popular fan base, to me, the most logical thing, the most logical next step for it, even if you're going to do a few more seasons after the 5th season, the most logical step to me for MLPFIM, the next logical step, is a big budget animated feature film, theatrical feature film. That to me is the next big thing, next big step for it. Here's what I mean. Again, here's what I mean. When you have the momentum that this show has, and you have the momentum, like I said, you have the momentum this show has, and I'm sorry if I repeated myself there, trying to think of what to say next. But when you have the momentum this show has, and you have the popularity that it has, and you have the fan base that it has, that basically crosses all genders, crosses all genres, crosses all generations, appeals to all ages, if you will, has basically developed a cult fan base to where one part of the fan base is called bronies, and they also have a convention, a yearly convention based around that. It's, to me, the most logical next big step for MLPFIM is a big budget animated theatrical film. And I'm not talking I'm not talking along the lines of, do another spin-off with the Equestria Girls line. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking doing a straight up a big budget animated theatrical film based on what fans watch on television, based on that source material, based on that world. No spin-offs for another brand that you want to basically make out of it. No, just straight up, here's the ponies, no human transformations or anything like that. No transforming into humans or anything like that. No, this is straight up MLPFIM on the big screen. And I think that needs to happen. And I'm not talking something of a very limited release like the Equestria Girl movies were and going to be. The first one and the second one, I should say. I'm not talking some limited, theatrical release, okay? I'm not talking that. I'm not talking some limited release, all right? Very limited to where the next thing you know it's on Blu-ray. I'm talking flat out, worldwide, big budget, animated theatrical film. And with Hasbro's history, you could tie the movie into the continuity of the show, of the continuity of the television series. You could do it that way. You can make it separate if you want. But I know, again, knowing Hasbro's history with animated films, they could definitely tie it into what fans see. Because you don't want to confuse fans, all right? You don't want to confuse the fans just wondering, okay, why was the movie different than what we're seeing here? Why isn't, so-and-so acknowledged here? To me, you got this momentum. The best next logical step is a theatrical film. Big budget, animated theatrical film. And I know I sound like a broken record there, but I got to get the point across here. You see, Hasbro, again, has had a history of doing this. And the history of the animated films based on the properties always tend to have the animated film based in the same continuity as the property that it's based off of. Basically, their history is they always had that show based in the same continuity as the television show. I mean, the movie, I should say, the movie based in the same continuity as the television show. And it works. For some odd reason, some crazy reason, it works. And if you want any proof, the original G1 My Little Ponies had 2 primetime specials in syndication, had a theatrical movie that took place in between, right after those specials, and then had a series that took place after the movie, and to further prove my point, had a 5-part episode miniseries pilot that continued off of the movie as a sequel to the movie. So there you go. And then you have Transformers, which personally I grew up on and I personally grew up on and watched every single freaking episode as a kid. You had the first season introducing the characters to us. You had the second season introducing newer characters as well as exploring more of the Transformers universe and mythos. You had the Japanese exclusive Scramble City, which a lot of us have now seen thanks to it being a special added feature on the DVDs and Blu-ray that you can only get through Madman Entertainment and Amazon and Transformer Specialist. Then you had the movie that took place after Scramble City. Then you had the 3rd and 4th seasons that take place after the movie. Same with G.I. Joe. You had the first few seasons of G.I. Joe, then you had the movie connect into it, then you had Dick Animation do their own continuation of G1 that takes place after the movie. So it has been done. It has been done and can be done. Heck, Saban's Power Rangers. We had Mighty Morphin for a few years, then we had Power Rangers Zeo. Then the following season we had Power Rangers Turbo. But how do you go from Zeo to Turbo? Well, usually you have to have some kind of big miniseries or cliffhanger finale that leads you into it, right? Not in this case. Not in this case, because what Saban decided to do, along with 20th Century Fox at the time, was say, okay, instead of going from this to this, with a cliffhanger and then going from this to this, let's do a theatrical film where they get the powers in the film, and the film then continues on into the next season of Power Rangers, thus being Power Rangers Turbo. And what is the film called? Turbo, a Power Rangers movie, and it takes place after Zeo. How do we know that? How do we know it takes place after Zeo? How do we know it takes place in the same continuity? Because we see Cat morph into Zeo Ranger Pink, a Zeo Ranger 1 Pink. That's how we know. That's how we know. So again, it has been done. It has and can be done. My point is, right now, MLP FIM has that momentum, has that fan base to where Hasbro can afford to do a big budget theatrical animated film based on the series, based in the same continuity as the series, and thus have the movie tie into that same continuity, and then use, like, let's say a 6th season or 7th season, whenever they would ever release the movie, as a continuation from the movie. Yeah, they could actually use a newer season, like I said, whether it be a 6th, 7th, or 8th season, or how long they milk it, they keep running the show, or keep running the series, to continue that continuity, to have the continuity basically intertwine, or interconnect, or connect basically. It's like, okay, you could end the 5th season, then you could do a movie which has based in the same continuity, and then the 6th season, that continuity gets continued off from the movie into the 6th season. You get what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying. And with everything that's gone on, from what I've read online, from what I've caught glimpses of here and there, from what I've heard people saying, folks, there's so much you could explore. There's so much more, Hasbro, you could do. So much you, the writers of the show, can do, the creative staff of the show can do with a big budget theatrical film, animated film. There's so much more you could do. You could give the characters that have already had character development, you can give them even more character development. You can really explore more about who they are and why they have the abilities and and stuff like that they have. Why Fluttershy has this love to protect animals. Why Pinkie Pie is the way she is. Why Rainbow Dash is the way she is. Why Rarity? You get the idea. You basically give more character development to them, more character development to them, give more to Spike, give more to all the other characters you might want to bring in, probably introduce some new characters, because that's what movies sometimes do, based on shows like this. Even probably do some background, give character development to Celestial, Princess Celestial, Candace, and Luna, if you have to. I mean, you could do so much more. You can even develop the new rainbow powers, for goodness sakes, even further. You can have them evolve. You can make, heck, if you want to, you can have, Rarity. You could have Rarity, Applejack, and Pinkie Pie join up with Twilight. And Fluttershy and Rainbow Dash's flying ponies, that's alicorn ponies, if you want to. I mean, there's so much that you could do. You can even officially make Spike and Rarity a freaking couple, like the fan base wants. And believe me when I tell you. Hold on. And believe me when I tell you, that's a fact. That's a true fact. Believe me when I tell you, that's a true fact. You can explore that relationship and maybe make it develop into being more than just best friends. I mean, you have a freaking kissing Spike on the cheek so many times it's not funny. You have a freaking calling him cute, protecting him and stuff like that. So why not take it to that next level? Just saying. And this is coming from a guy that barely watches the show, just catches glimpses here and there, reads about it basically from what other people say online. So, yeah. With a bigger budget, you could do so much more, especially with the animated theatrical film. And speaking of a bigger budget, you can even have better animation. Not saying the animation isn't good in this show, but history has shown that if you have a bigger budget and it's a bigger budget and basically basically if you have a bigger budget, if you will, that you can do a lot more with animation that you can't do when it comes to television. You can't really do a lot with television animation. Even if it's high definition, you can't really do that much because it's basically, not feature film. It's just like regular film still, if you think about it. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right, I don't know. But the point is, high def or not, there's so much more you could do with theatrical film. There's so much more you could do with feature film animation than television animation. I mean, think about this. You could have these characters looking so much better with feature film animation than you've ever had, than you can imagine seeing them now. So to me, I think the opportunity is presenting itself right now. The opportunity presents itself right now in front of Hasbro, in front of this creative staff, to take that next step. Go and talk with Paramount. Go and talk to Universal, whoever you may want to make a deal with, and say, look, we want to do a straight up traditional animated, a straight up big budget theatrical animated film of MLP FIM. Just go up and, just go and straight up say it. Just tell them that. Tell them, look, we got this momentum, we got a huge fan base, we're making money off this with merchandise like you wouldn't believe. I mean, if you want the truth, you go to my store, you go to a Toys R Us, there are MLP FIM sections. I guarantee you, Toys R Us as well. My stores, my company stores, they still have stuff there, but they're getting sold out big time. They are. And again, you're milking this for everything it has, so why not go all the way and give it a big budget theatrical animated film? And like I said, and I know I sound like a broken record, but it bears repeating. You could do so much more storyline-wise, character development-wise. You can explore all these things. You could develop, officially make a certain dragon and fashion designing pony a couple. If you will, you could benefit, you could explore all these different other options and stuff. The animation can be vastly improved to look like, can be really vastly improved by being done with feature animation. I mean, so much more can be done and given, so much more can be done and given with a big budget theatrical animated film. It can be. And whether you're a fan or not, you have to agree that the momentum that this show has, the fan base that this show has, the money that it's making, I mean, Hasbro has a potential box office hit on their hands, and they haven't capitalized on that yet. Instead, the only theatrical thing we got from it was a very limited, almost like one-day event, one-day theatrical release of the Equestria Girls. And that's it. Who cares? Give the fans this. Give the dedicated MLP, My Little Pony Friendship and Magic fans what they really deserve and what they've really earned, and that is a big budget theatrical animated film based in the same continuity as the series. And Hasbro, if you need to, go back and look at your history. Because you have done this before. You have done movies that are based in the same continuity as your shows. Transformers is a good example. The original G1 My Little Pony is a good example. G.I. Joe's the same way. It's all been based in the same continuity. So to me, this is an opportunity you cannot pass up. And hopefully you are in the planning stages of doing it, and if not, you need to start doing it. Because fans deserve this. Your fans that have followed your show, have dedicated themselves to your show, have created freaking conventions for male fans of your show, deserve this. So to me, there's so much more you could do with a bigger budget and a bigger budget, and mostly with a big budget theatrical animated film. So, to me, it needs to happen. And again, this is coming from someone that's not a fan, but does respect the fact that it's gone for 5 seasons. So, just set my opinion on it, and let me know what you guys think down below. Comment if you like, and I will talk to y'all later. God bless. Take care.